Okay, man, I'd like to see if I could start creative writing. So I'm gonna tell Gemini creative writing. It's like 5 a.m. right? I will say one sentence or fragment of the narrative. Not just a story, but we're going to narrate a little bit. You, you write the next fragment. Okay, I need help. Like I said, singularity writing, two heads is better than one. So he says, I'm game, let's build something great. So, it, it was a cold summer morning, and let's just use John. John and John's bones ached from the morning rise. What is Gemini gonna put next? He threw on a heavy wool flannel, the fabric scratchy against his skin, and poured a cup of yesterday's coffee into a tin mug. He fingered the morale patch he made for his jiu-jitsu club. The Russian war combat grenadiers, as if he'd deploy as an American into a Russian war zone. The irony wasn't lost on him as he smoothed down the Velcro. A 275-pound man wearing a patch for a theater he'd only ever fight in his own head. It was Tuesday, severely cold for a midsummer's day. The coffee was both bitter and bitter and stale, although dripped moments ago. Not bad. Well, how do we move forward? He watched the dark liquid settle, realizing that no amount of heat could match the cheap, over roasted grounds he bought on clearance. Looking up from the coffee mug, he saw this week's paper. Over 17 arrests in the city. Police cracking down on both the homeless as well as unlicensed unlicensed boxing facilities. Don't worry about reusing stuff. Unlicensed boxing facilities. A grim smile tugged at the corner of his mouth under his beard. They called them unlicensed facilities, but to John, they were just the last honest places left where a man could test his mettle without a waiver or a monthly subscription. tugged at his coat, a last remnant of unbridled manhood left in his life. Those years on the mat, winning instead of tapping out. He walked outside to check the mail. It's a little bit mundane. How are we gonna make this not mundane? The gravel crunched under his boots as the biting wind hit him square in the face. A sharp contrast to the humid air he expected from midsummer. He pulled the rusty latch of the mailbox down, only for a single crisp envelope to slide forward. Stamped with a formal government insignia that made his aching knuckles tighten instinctively. It was 5:45 a.m. Hey, a voice called. Gonna move forward with this. John froze, his hand still gripping the cold metal of the mailbox as he scanned the gray pre-dawn shadows. It was Greg across the street. Getting ready for work. Do you need a lift again? Greg said. John cannot not teach him to stop helping others. It was a sign of weakness in any day and age. And John didn't want to take advantage. No, John said, I have my own ride. Greg nodded a little too quickly and climbed into his idling truck without another word, the exhaust coughing a white plume into the freezing air before he rolled away. John watched his taillights fade into the mist, glad to be alone again with the silence, his aching joints, and the unread letter in hand. He opened it before he got inside. Dear John, doesn't land easily. We need to talk. Signed, Victoria. The words hit harder than a clean left hook, leaving him staring at the paper as the wind threatened to rip it from his fingers. Victoria, the one person who was supposed to be his anchor, had just cut the line with a single devastating sentence, leaving him standing alone in the freezing midsummer dawn. So, stop. Would that be chapter 1? Or do we need to do a little bit more? It definitely feels like the perfect closing note for chapter 1. Awesome. You got a really solid setup here. Within just a few paragraphs, we get a clear sense of who John is, his physical presence, his martial arts background, his old school self-reliant mindset, and bizarrely freezing climate. Ending right there on that specific note is a classic narrative hook. It establishes his eternal world and his daily routine, only to